Sarah, a 34-year-old mom of two young children, was scrolling through social media late one evening after putting her kids to bed when she saw an advertisement for Farm Fresh Organics, a company promising to deliver fresh, organic produce at an incredible 70% off regular grocery store prices. The website looked absolutely professional and trustworthy, with beautiful photos of fruits and vegetables glistening with morning dew, heartwarming customer testimonials from other families, and official-looking certifications that seemed completely legitimate. As a busy working mom trying to stretch the family budget while keeping her kids healthy with nutritious food, this seemed like the perfect solution to her ongoing struggle with rising grocery costs. Sarah worked as a nurse at the local hospital, often pulling long shifts that left her exhausted and with little time for grocery shopping. She had been feeling guilty about feeding her children too much processed food and had been wanting to incorporate more fresh, organic produce into their diets. However, the cost of organic fruits and vegetables at the grocery store was often double or triple the price of conventional produce, making it difficult to afford on her family's tight budget. The website claimed they were a family-owned farm operation that had been growing organic produce for 3 generations in rural farming communities across the Midwest. They sold directly to consumers, cutting out grocery store middlemen to offer amazing prices that big retail chains simply couldn't match. The site featured detailed descriptions of their sustainable farming practices, photos of happy families enjoying their products at picnic tables in scenic farm settings, and even a comprehensive freshness guarantee, promising that customers would receive the freshest produce within 48 hours of harvest. Sarah was particularly impressed by their professional presentation and the detailed testimonials from other mothers who claimed the service had completely transformed their families' eating habits and saved them hundreds of dollars monthly on groceries. The testimonials included photos of smiling families and specific details about improved health and energy levels that resonated with Sarah's goals for her own children. The website also featured an extensive FAQ section that addressed common concerns about online produce delivery, detailed information about their organic certification processes, and even nutritional information and recipe suggestions for each type of produce they offered. Everything seemed thoroughly professional and legitimate, addressing all of Sarah's potential concerns about quality, freshness, and safety. When she clicked Order Now, Sarah was directed to a sleek, professional payment page that asked for her credit card information, billing address, and surprisingly, her social security number for delivery verification purposes. This seemed somewhat unusual to Sarah, but the website had a detailed explanation stating that they needed this information to ensure secure delivery to the right person and to comply with federal food safety regulations for direct-to-consumer sales. The checkout process looked completely secure, complete with what appeared to be official security badges from well-known companies like Norton and McAfee, and encryption symbols that gave Sarah confidence that her personal information would be protected. The website also displayed what looked like Better Business Bureau ratings and customer satisfaction scores that further reinforced its apparent legitimacy. Sarah decided to start with a modest test order of $75 worth of fruits and vegetables, including organic apples, carrots, spinach, and tomatoes that her children particularly loved. She was careful to choose items that her family regularly consumed so she could accurately compare the quality and freshness to what she normally bought at the grocery store. The website confirmed her order immediately and provided a detailed tracking number, promising delivery within 3 business days along with care instructions for storing the produce. She felt genuinely excited about saving money while providing her family with healthy, organic food that would normally cost much more at the grocery store. Sarah even told her co-workers at the hospital about the great deal she had found, and several of them expressed interest in trying the service themselves based on her recommendation. 3 days passed, then a week, and Sarah hadn't received any produce or even shipping confirmation emails despite the website's promises of rapid delivery. When she tried to contact customer service through the website's contact form and phone number, she found that the phone just rang endlessly without anyone answering, and her detailed emails explaining her concern bounced back as undeliverable with automated messages saying the email addresses didn't exist. Growing increasingly concerned and frustrated about both the missing order and her exposed personal information, Sarah decided to do some thorough research about the company that she wished she had done before placing her order and providing sensitive information like her social security number. She searched extensively for farm fresh organics reviews and was absolutely shocked and horrified to find dozens of detailed complaints from other customers who had been scammed by the exact same fake company. The complaints revealed a disturbing, inconsistent pattern. Customers placed orders, provided their personal and financial information, and never received any products whatsoever. Even worse, many people reported that their credit card information had been used to make unauthorized purchases at other websites, and some had experienced identity theft issues after providing their social security numbers. The realization hit Sarah like a ton of bricks. She had been completely tricked by a sophisticated fake website designed specifically to steal people's money and personal information. The testimonials were entirely fabricated. The professional photos were stolen from legitimate farming websites and stock photo libraries. And the security badges were just images copied and pasted from real websites without any actual security protection. She felt embarrassed about falling for the scam, angry about being deceived, and deeply worried about what the scammers might do with her personal information, especially since she had foolishly provided her social security number. Sarah realized that her desire to save money and feed her family healthy food had made her vulnerable to criminals who exploited those exact motivations. Sarah immediately took decisive action to protect herself and her family. She called her bank to report the fraudulent charge and request a new credit card with a different number. She also contacted all 3 major credit reporting agencies to place fraud alerts on her accounts and requested copies of her credit reports to monitor for any suspicious activity. Additionally, she filed detailed complaints with the Federal Trade Commission, her state's Attorney General office, and the Internet Crime Complaint Center. Her bank was extremely helpful and professional, assuring her that they would investigate the charge thoroughly and would likely reverse it since it was clearly fraudulent. The bank representative also praised Sarah for catching the scam quickly and taking immediate protective action, explaining that swift response often prevents further damage. They provided her with additional security measures and monitoring services to protect her accounts going forward. The bank representative also explained that these types of fake food delivery scams had become increasingly common and sophisticated, especially targeting busy parents who were looking for convenient ways to feed their families healthy food while saving money. They advised Sarah to monitor her credit reports closely for the next several months and to be extremely cautious about providing personal information to online retailers in the future. Within a week, Sarah's bank had reversed the fraudulent charge and issued her a new credit card with enhanced security features. The credit monitoring services they provided gave her peace of mind that her financial accounts were being watched for suspicious activity. Although she never recovered the time and stress caused by the incident, Sarah was grateful that she had avoided more serious financial damage. The experience taught Sarah invaluable lessons about online safety and due diligence that she now applies to all internet purchases. She learned to always research companies thoroughly before making online purchases, especially when deals seem too good to be true. Sarah now checks multiple independent review sites, verifies business addresses and phone numbers through official databases, and never provides her social security number for online food purchases or any other non-essential transactions. Sarah has become an advocate for online safety and fraud prevention, regularly sharing her story with other parents, coworkers, and friends to help them avoid similar scams and protect their families from fraud. She emphasizes the importance of taking time to verify offers independently rather than making quick decisions based on attractive websites and compelling marketing materials. Meet David, a 45-year-old auto mechanic who never expected that his lifelong passion for barbecue and grilling would lead him into a costly meat subscription scam that would teach him hard lessons about door-to-door sales tactics and high-pressure marketing. David took immense pride in grilling what many considered the best steaks in his neighborhood, spending most summer weekends perfecting his techniques and hosting elaborate barbecues for friends, family, and coworkers who always looked forward to his expertly prepared meals. David had been grilling for over 20 years, ever since his father had taught him the basics as a teenager. He had invested in high-quality grilling equipment over the years and was always experimenting with new techniques, rubs, and marinades to improve his results. His reputation as the neighborhood grill master was something he cherished, and he took great satisfaction in seeing people enjoy the meals he prepared. However, David had been frustrated by the rising cost of quality meat at grocery stores and butcher shops. Good steaks were becoming increasingly expensive, and he often found himself spending $50 to $75 just for enough meat for a single-family barbecue. So when he received an unexpected phone call about premium meat delivered to his door at wholesale prices, he was immediately interested in learning more about this potential solution to his growing grocery costs. The caller, who identified himself as Mike from Midwest Premium Meats, had a friendly, down-to-earth manner that immediately appealed to David. Mike spoke like a fellow working man who understood the value of quality and hard work, using casual language and industry terminology that made David feel like they had a natural connection. "Listen, Dave," Mike said, using a familiar tone that made David feel like they were old friends. "I've got a truck full of premium steaks that I need to move today. My regular restaurant buyer canceled their order at the very last minute, and I'd rather sell them to someone who really appreciates quality meat than let them go to waste or sell them at a loss to a discount retailer." Mike explained in detail that he was offering ribeye steaks, filet mignon, New York strips, and other premium cuts at 60% off retail prices. He claimed the meat was USDA prime grade, the highest quality rating available, vacuum sealed for maximum freshness, and flash frozen using the same restaurant industry standards that high-end steakhouses use to preserve quality and flavor. "I'm actually in your neighborhood right now finishing up another delivery," Mike said, creating a sense of immediacy and convenience. "I can be at your house in 20 minutes with samples so you can see and examine the quality for yourself. If you're not completely satisfied with what you see, you don't pay a penny, and I'll move on to my next customer." David was definitely intrigued by the offer and the convenient timing. He'd always dreamed of having restaurant-quality steaks available in his freezer whenever he wanted to grill, without having to make special trips to expensive butcher shops or pay premium prices at grocery stores. The price Mike quoted seemed very reasonable for such premium meat, especially considering that he'd been spending increasingly large amounts on decent steaks at regular retail stores. When Mike arrived exactly when promised in a professional-looking refrigerated truck with official logos and commercial branding, David was immediately impressed by the professional setup and Mike's business-like appearance. The salesman was well-dressed, articulate, and clearly knowledgeable about meat grades, cuts, and proper handling procedures. He showed David beautiful steaks with excellent marbling and professional vacuum-sealed packaging, let him examine the color and quality of the meat closely, and even provided what appeared to be official USDA documentation, certificates of authenticity, and detailed information about the meat's origin and processing. Mike explained that the meat came from premium cattle operations in the Midwest and was processed at USDA-inspected facilities that supplied high-end restaurants and specialty meat distributors. He showed David detailed charts explaining the differences between meat grades and pointed out the superior marbling and color that indicated the highest quality beef. "Here's the deal, Dave," Mike said, building excitement and creating a sense of urgency. "I need to move this entire inventory today because company policy doesn't allow me to take it back to the warehouse. I can offer you a full year's supply of premium meat, enough for your family plus all those neighborhood barbecues you're famous for just $1,200. That's less than you'd spend on regular grocery store meat over the same period, and this is restaurant-grade quality that would cost $3,000 or more if you bought it at retail prices from a specialty butcher." The offer seemed incredible, and Mike was applying gentle but persistent pressure for David to make a decision quickly. He explained that he had several other customers to visit before the end of the day and couldn't hold the offer open indefinitely. Mike also showed David a detailed breakdown of the meat packages, with specific weights, cuts, and estimated retail values that made the deal seem like an amazing bargain that would be foolish to pass up. Mike also mentioned that many of his customers had become repeat buyers and had recommended his services to friends and neighbors who were also looking for quality meat at reasonable prices. He provided what appeared to be contact information for satisfied customers who had purchased similar packages and claimed to have saved thousands of dollars over the years. David felt genuinely torn between excitement about the potential savings and his natural caution about making such a large purchase from someone he just met. The meat looked absolutely excellent, much better than what he typically found at grocery stores, and the price seemed fair when broken down into monthly costs. Mike appeared completely trustworthy and professional, and his knowledge of meat quality seemed genuine and extensive. Against his better judgment, and despite some lingering doubts that he couldn't quite articulate, David decided to take what seemed like an excellent deal and wrote a check for $1,200. Mike was very appreciative and professional throughout the transaction, providing detailed receipts and what appeared to be warranty information. Mike loaded several heavy boxes of frozen meat into David's large freezer, provided him with detailed storage instructions and cooking recommendations, and promised that he could contact the company if he had any questions or concerns about the products. Mike also mentioned that David might receive additional special offers in the future as a valued customer and provided business cards with contact information. 2 weeks later, David decided to grill some of the premium steaks for a special family barbecue celebrating his daughter's graduation. He was excited to show off the high-quality meat to his extended family and demonstrate the superior results he expected from such expensive cuts. When David unwrapped the meat and examined it more carefully under good lighting, he was absolutely shocked and disappointed to find that it was clearly low-grade beef, tough and full of gristle, with poor marbling and an unappetizing grayish color that indicated inferior quality. The packaging looked professional from the outside, but the meat inside was obviously not the same quality he had been shown during Mike's presentation. When David grilled the steaks, they were tough, flavorless, and completely unlike the premium meat he had been promised. His family was disappointed with the poor quality, and David felt embarrassed about the inferior meal after building up expectations for something special. The meat was clearly lower grade than what he could have bought at his regular grocery store for much less money. When David tried to contact Midwest Premium Meats using the phone number on his receipt and business cards, he discovered that it was disconnected with no forwarding information. The company website listed on his paperwork didn't exist when he tried to access it, and there was no trace of the business anywhere online or in business directories. David realized he had been the victim of a sophisticated traveling meat scam. David immediately reported the fraud to his local police department, the Better Business Bureau, and his state's Consumer Protection Agency. He learned that traveling meat scams are unfortunately very common and sophisticated, with fraudsters using high-pressure sales tactics, professional presentations, and fake documentation to sell inferior products at premium prices to unsuspecting consumers. The police detective who took his report explained that these scammers often target working-class men who take pride in grilling and are attracted to the idea of getting restaurant-quality meat at wholesale prices. They use professional-looking trucks, official documentation, and high-quality samples to create credibility, then substitute inferior products for the actual delivery. Although David never recovered his $1,200, the experience taught him valuable lessons about door-to-door sales and high-pressure tactics that he now applies to all purchasing decisions. He learned to never make large purchases from unsolicited salespeople, to always research companies thoroughly before making major purchases, and to take time to think about decisions rather than feeling pressured to act immediately. David now researches any company thoroughly before making large purchases, never buys from unsolicited door-to-door salespeople regardless of how professional they appear, and always takes time to think about major purchases rather than making quick decisions based on pressure tactics or limited-time offers. David regularly warns his friends, neighbors, and coworkers about traveling meat scams and shares his experience to help others avoid similar fraud. He emphasizes that legitimate meat companies don't need to sell their products from trucks in residential neighborhoods, and that real wholesale prices are only available through established business relationships, not through unsolicited sales calls. This is about Jennifer, a 52-year-old office manager who never thought that her sincere desire to lose weight and improve her health would lead her into a dangerous supplement scam that would cost her money and potentially put her health at risk. Jennifer had struggled with her weight for many years, trying various commercial diets, exercise programs, and weight loss methods without achieving the lasting results she desperately wanted. She was feeling particularly frustrated and discouraged when she saw a Facebook advertisement for Miracle Garcinia Cambodia that promised to help her lose 30 pounds in 30 days without requiring any changes to her diet or exercise routine. Jennifer worked at a busy insurance office where she spent most of her day sitting at a desk, and her sedentary lifestyle combined with stress eating had contributed to gradual weight gain over the years. She had tried numerous diet plans, gym memberships, and weight loss programs, but always seemed to regain any weight she lost plus additional pounds. The constant cycle of hope and disappointment had left her feeling defeated and desperate for a solution that would finally work. The Facebook advertisement featured compelling before and after photos of women who looked remarkably similar to Jennifer in age and body type, along with detailed testimonials claiming incredible weight loss results with minimal effort. The women in the testimonials claimed to have lost significant amounts of weight quickly without changing their eating habits or starting exercise programs, which appealed to Jennifer's desire for an easy solution to her weight struggles. The product was prominently endorsed by what appeared to be a famous doctor from a popular TV show, complete with official-looking photos and quotes about the revolutionary weight loss properties of Garcinia cambogia extract. The website looked extremely professional and medical, with scientific explanations about how the supplement worked to block fat production and suppress appetite naturally without side effects. Best of all, they were offering a completely risk-free trial, where customers only paid $4.95 for shipping and handling to try the product for 30 days. The offer seemed perfect for Jennifer, who was hesitant to spend large amounts on another weight loss product that might not work, but was willing to try something that seemed virtually free. Jennifer was naturally skeptical at first, having been disappointed by weight loss products and programs before, but the website contained an overwhelming amount of convincing information that systematically addressed all of her concerns and objections. There were detailed scientific explanations about how Garcinia cambogia extract works at the cellular level to block the enzyme that converts carbohydrates into fat, preventing weight gain while promoting fat burning. The website also featured testimonials from real customers with full names, photos, and detailed stories about their weight loss journeys. These testimonials included specific details about pounds lost, clothing sizes dropped, and improvements in energy and confidence that resonated with Jennifer's own goals and dreams. Additionally, the site displayed what appeared to be clinical study results from prestigious medical institutions showing dramatic weight loss results in controlled studies. The studies included detailed charts, graphs, and statistical analysis that made the claims seem scientifically validated and medically sound. The free trial seemed completely risk-free and straightforward, and Jennifer thought she had absolutely nothing to lose by trying it. The website prominently displayed a 100% satisfaction guarantee and repeatedly emphasized that customers would not be charged anything beyond the small shipping fee unless they specifically decided to continue with the full program after experiencing results from the trial period. When Jennifer signed up for the free trial, she had to provide her credit card information just for the shipping costs. The website assured her multiple times throughout the checkout process that she would not be charged anything beyond the $4.95 shipping fee unless she specifically contacted them to continue with the full program. The terms and conditions were extremely lengthy and written in very small print, but Jennifer assumed they were standard legal language that all companies used and didn't take the time to read them carefully. The trial bottle arrived quickly in professional packaging with detailed instructions for use and impressive-looking labeling that reinforced the product's apparent legitimacy. Jennifer began taking the supplements exactly as directed, hoping to see the dramatic results promised in the advertisements and testimonials. She monitored her weight daily and watched for changes in appetite or energy levels. However, after taking the supplements for 2 weeks, Jennifer didn't notice any significant changes in her appetite, energy levels, or weight. The website had warned that some people needed more time to see results depending on their metabolism and body chemistry, so she continued taking the pills optimistically while watching for any positive changes. 2 weeks later, Jennifer was shocked and confused to see a charge of $89.95 on her credit card statement from the supplement company. She had been carefully monitoring her account and was certain she hadn't authorized any additional charges beyond the original shipping fee. When Jennifer called their customer service number to complain and demand an explanation, the representative calmly claimed that Jennifer had automatically signed up for a monthly subscription service when she ordered the free trial. The representative pointed to specific language buried deep in the terms and conditions, which stated in small print that customers would be charged the full monthly price if they didn't actively cancel their subscription within 14 days of receiving their trial bottle. Jennifer was frustrated and angry, demanding a full refund and insisting that she had never knowingly agreed to any subscription service. She explained that the advertisement and website had clearly stated it was a free trial with no ongoing obligations and that she had never intended to purchase a monthly supply of the product. However, the company refused to reverse the charge, claiming that she had legally agreed to the terms when she placed her order and provided her credit card information. They offered to cancel future shipments to prevent additional charges, but would not refund the money already charged to her account. The customer service representative was polite but firm in refusing to provide any refund. Worse yet, When Jennifer examined the supplement bottle more carefully with a magnifying glass, she noticed that the ingredient list didn't match what had been promised in the advertisement. The label showed that the product contained mostly rice flour, gelatin, and other inactive ingredients, with only a tiny amount of the Garcinia cambogia extract that was supposed to be the active weight loss ingredient. Jennifer realized she had been tricked by a sophisticated free trial scam that used misleading advertising, fake endorsements, and hidden subscription terms to steal money from customers. The doctor endorsement was completely fabricated. The before and after photos were stolen from other websites and weight loss programs, and the product didn't contain the high-quality ingredients advertised on the website. She felt angry and embarrassed about being deceived, especially since she had been trying to make a positive change in her life and improve her health. Jennifer was also concerned about what other personal information the company might have collected and how they might use it in the future. Jennifer immediately took action to protect herself and seek resolution. She contacted her credit card company to dispute the fraudulent charge and filed detailed complaints with the Federal Trade Commission, Better Business Bureau, and her state attorney general's office. She provided all the evidence she had collected, including screenshots of the misleading advertisements and copies of the deceptive website content. Her credit card company was very understanding and helpful, immediately reversing the charge after Jennifer explained the deceptive practices and provided evidence of the misleading advertising. They also placed a block on any future charges from the company and flagged the merchant in their fraud detection system to protect other customers. The credit card representative explained that free trial scams are extremely common, especially for weight loss products, beauty products, and health supplements. These companies often hide automatic subscription terms and fine print specifically to trick consumers into ongoing payments they never intended to authorize. The experience taught Jennifer valuable lessons about online advertising, free trial offers, and weight loss claims that she now applies to all health and wellness purchases. She learned to be much more skeptical of dramatic weight loss claims, to always read terms and conditions carefully before providing credit card information, and to research companies thoroughly through independent sources before trying any new products. Jennifer also learned that legitimate weight loss requires sustainable changes in eating habits and regular physical activity, not miracle supplements promising impossible results without effort. She now focuses on making gradual, sustainable lifestyle changes rather than looking for quick fixes that sound too good to be true. Jennifer has become an advocate for consumer protection and regularly shares her experience with friends, family, and coworkers to help them avoid similar scams. She emphasizes the importance of reading fine print, researching companies independently, and being skeptical of any offers that seem too good to be true. Robert's nightmare began when he received an official-looking letter in the mail claiming he had won a $50,000 cash prize in a national food company sweepstakes that he had never entered or even heard of before. The 67-year-old retired teacher was initially confused and skeptical because he couldn't remember entering any contest. But the letter looked completely legitimate with official logos, professional formatting, detailed legal language, and specific information about the supposed prize program that made it seem authentic. Robert had taught high school mathematics for 35 years before retiring and prided himself on being logical and analytical. He had always been cautious about financial matters and suspicious of offers that seemed too good to be true. However, the letter was so professionally crafted and official-looking that it gave him pause and made him consider that it might actually be legitimate. The letter explained in detail that Robert's name had been randomly selected from a comprehensive database of grocery store customers who had made purchases during the previous year at participating retailers across the country. It included official-looking seals, barcodes, reference numbers, and detailed legal language that made it appear authentic and legitimate. The letter also included specific details about Robert's shopping habits that seemed to confirm its authenticity, such as the approximate frequency of his grocery shopping and the types of stores where he typically shopped. This personal information made the letter seem more credible and suggested that it might actually be from a legitimate company that had access to his shopping data. The letter instructed Robert to call a toll-free number within 72 hours to claim his prize before it was awarded to an alternate winner. It emphasized the time-sensitive nature of the offer and warned that failure to respond promptly would result in forfeiture of the prize to someone else. Curious and somewhat excited about the possibility of winning a substantial amount of money, Robert decided to call the phone number provided to learn more about his supposed winnings and verify whether the offer was legitimate. He figured that a simple phone call couldn't hurt and would help him determine whether this was real or some kind of scam. The person who answered the phone was extremely enthusiastic, professional, and congratulatory, immediately confirming Robert's personal information and expressing genuine excitement about his good fortune. The caller sounded completely legitimate and knowledgeable about the prize program. "Mr. Johnson, this is absolutely your lucky day. You've won our grand prize of $50,000 in the National Food Brand Sweepstakes. We're so excited to get this life-changing money to you as quickly as possible," said the caller, who identified herself as Susan from Prize Processing Services. She spoke with authority and seemed to have detailed information about Robert and the prize program. Susan explained that Robert's name had been randomly selected from millions of grocery store customers across the country who had been automatically entered into the sweepstakes through their regular shopping activities. She provided detailed information about the selection process and made it sound completely legitimate and regulated. Susan told Robert that to claim his prize, he would need to pay a processing fee of $500 to cover federal taxes and administrative costs that were required by law for all prizes over $10,000. She assured him that this was completely normal and required by federal regulations, and that the fee would be fully refunded along with his $50,000 prize check. "The good news is that this fee will be completely refunded along with your $50,000 prize check," Susan explained in a helpful, professional tone. "We just need you to send us a cashier's check or money order for $500 to cover the federal tax withholding, and we'll have your prize check delivered by bonded courier within 48 hours. Robert was initially skeptical about paying money to receive a prize, but Susan had convincing and detailed explanations for everything he questioned. She told him that the fee was specifically mandated by federal tax law to cover taxes on prizes over $10,000, and that the prize processing company was required by law to collect these fees up front before distributing winnings to ensure compliance with IRS regulations. She even provided what sounded like specific tax codes and IRS regulations to support her detailed explanation and offered to send him official documentation that would explain the legal requirements. Susan seemed knowledgeable about tax law and spoke with the authority of someone who processed prize winnings professionally. To make the offer seem even more legitimate and urgent, Susan immediately sent Robert official-looking documents via email, including a prize claim form, a tax compliance certificate, and a winner verification letter. The documents looked extremely professional and included logos from well-known food companies, government agencies, and official-looking seals that reinforced the apparent legitimacy of the offer. Susan also created a strong sense of urgency by telling Robert that he had only 72 hours to claim his prize before it would be permanently awarded to the next person on the list. She explained that this was a legal requirement to ensure that prizes were claimed promptly and didn't remain unclaimed indefinitely. Robert felt torn between excitement about the substantial money that could significantly improve his retirement finances and growing concern about the upfront fee requirement. The documents looked completely authentic. Susan sounded professional and knowledgeable, but something about paying money to receive money still didn't feel completely right to him. After thinking about it overnight, Robert decided to call his daughter Maria, who worked as a loan officer at a local bank, to get her professional opinion before making any decisions. He figured that her experience in banking would help her evaluate whether this offer was legitimate or some kind of scam. Maria immediately recognized the classic signs of a prize scam and firmly explained to her father that legitimate prizes never require upfront payments of any kind under any circumstances. She told him that real sweepstakes winners receive their prizes directly from the sponsoring companies, and any tax obligations are handled separately through normal tax filing procedures with the IRS at the end of the year. "Dad, if you really won $50,000, they would just send you the money directly," Maria explained patiently. "They wouldn't ask you to pay them first, and they definitely wouldn't ask for cash or money orders. Real companies use checks and official bank transfers, not money orders from individual winners." Maria also explained that legitimate prize notifications come through official channels with detailed documentation, and winners are never pressured to act quickly or pay fees immediately. She advised Robert to ignore the offer completely and warned him that responding further might result in additional scam attempts. When Robert called back to decline the offer and ask more questions, Susan's friendly, professional demeanor completely changed. She became pushy, aggressive, and manipulative, trying multiple high-pressure tactics to convince him to pay the fee immediately. She offered to reduce the fee to $250, then claimed that Robert would forfeit his winnings forever if he didn't act within the next hour. When Robert mentioned that his daughter had advised him it was a scam, Susan became defensive and rude, claiming that his daughter was jealous of his good fortune and didn't want him to receive the money. When Robert remained firm in his refusal and stated that he was going to report the scam to authorities, Susan became threatening and hostile before abruptly hanging up. This complete change in demeanor confirmed to Robert that his daughter had been right about the fraudulent nature of the offer. Robert immediately reported the scam to the postal inspector's office since he had received the initial contact through the mail. He also filed complaints with the Federal Trade Commission and his state attorney general's office, providing all the documentation he had received. He learned that prize scams targeting seniors are extremely common and increasingly sophisticated, with scammers using official-looking documents, government agency logos, and detailed knowledge of regulations to convince victims to send money. The postal inspector praised Robert for checking with his daughter before sending any money and for collecting all the scammer's materials as evidence. The postal inspector explained that these scams often target seniors because they tend to be trusting, may be isolated from family members who could provide advice, and often have savings that make them attractive targets for financial fraud. The experience taught Robert to be very suspicious of any unexpected prizes or winnings, especially those requiring upfront payments. He now knows that legitimate contests and sweepstakes don't require winners to pay fees to claim prizes under any circumstances, and he always verifies unusual offers with family members or trusted advisors before taking any action. Robert has become an active advocate for senior fraud prevention and regularly shares his story with other retirees at community centers, senior living facilities, and church groups to help them avoid similar scams. He emphasizes that no legitimate prize ever requires upfront payment and encourages other seniors to always check with family members before responding to unexpected offers. When Amy received a phone call about a special discount program for organic baby food, the 29-year-old new mother was immediately interested in learning more about what seemed like a perfect solution to her growing concerns about nutrition and budget. She had been spending what felt like a fortune on premium baby food at the grocery store, and the caller claimed to be offering the exact same high-quality products at 50% off regular prices through a special manufacturer's program designed specifically for new parents who were struggling financially during challenging economic times. Amy had given birth to her first child just 6 months earlier and was still adjusting to the demands and expenses of motherhood. As a first-time parent, she was extremely concerned about providing the best possible nutrition for her baby and had been carefully researching organic baby food options. However, the cost of premium organic baby food was significantly higher than conventional options, often costing 2 or 3 times as much as regular baby food products. The caller, who identified herself as Lisa from Organic Baby Nutrition Services, had a warm, motherly voice that immediately made Amy feel comfortable and understood. Lisa spoke with the caring tone of someone who genuinely understood the challenges of new motherhood and seemed to have extensive knowledge about infant nutrition and feeding recommendations. Lisa explained that her company worked directly with organic baby food manufacturers to offer significant discounts to families who couldn't afford premium products at full retail prices. "We believe that every baby deserves the best possible nutrition, regardless of their family's financial situation," Lisa said in a caring, empathetic tone that perfectly resonated with Amy's values as a new mother trying to do the best for her child. Lisa asked detailed and knowledgeable questions about Amy's baby's age, current eating habits, developmental stage, and any dietary restrictions or concerns. She then made personalized recommendations for a complete nutrition program featuring organic pureed fruits, vegetables, and cereals that were specifically appropriate for Amy's baby's age and developmental needs. She claimed that all the products were made by well-known, trusted organic food companies that Amy had seen at grocery stores, but were being sold through their exclusive discount program at wholesale prices that weren't normally available to individual consumers. Lisa mentioned specific brand names and product lines that Amy recognized and trusted, which added credibility to her claims. The comprehensive offer included free shipping directly to Amy's door, a complete money-back guarantee if she wasn't completely satisfied with the quality. and even a personal nutrition consultation with a certified pediatric dietitian who could answer questions about feeding schedules and nutritional needs as Amy's baby grew and developed. Lisa also mentioned that the program included educational materials about infant nutrition, feeding schedules, and developmental milestones that would help Amy make the best choices for her baby's health and development throughout the first year of life. To make the offer seem more legitimate and personal, Lisa mentioned that she was a mother of 3 children herself and completely understood the challenges and expenses of feeding babies on a tight budget. She shared touching personal stories about her own children's eating habits, picky phases, and nutritional challenges that resonated with Amy's own concerns and experiences. Lisa seemed genuinely interested in helping Amy provide the best possible nutrition for her baby while staying within her family's financial constraints. She spoke knowledgeably about the importance of organic ingredients, avoiding artificial additives, and introducing variety in a baby's diet to promote healthy eating habits. Lisa also created urgency by claiming that the discount program was only available for a limited time and that Amy needed to act quickly to secure the special pricing. She explained that the manufacturers only allocated a certain number of discount packages each month to maintain exclusivity, and they were almost sold out for the current month. "I'd hate for you to miss out on this opportunity to give your baby premium nutrition at an affordable price," Lisa said with apparent genuine concern for Amy's situation. Amy was definitely tempted by the offer, especially since she had been worried about the cost of feeding her baby healthy food as he grew and needed more variety in his diet. However, she felt somewhat pressured by Lisa's insistence that she needed to make a decision immediately over the phone without having time to research the company or discuss it with her husband. Lisa offered to start Amy with a 3-month supply of organic baby food for just $200, which seemed like a very reasonable price for premium organic products that normally cost much more at regular retail stores. She explained that this would include a variety of fruits, vegetables, and cereals appropriate for Amy's baby's current age, plus products for the next few months as he grew and was ready for new foods. Against her better judgment, and despite feeling somewhat rushed by the time pressure, Amy decided to give the program a try and provided her credit card information over the phone. Lisa was very appreciative and reassuring throughout the transaction, telling Amy that she was making the right choice for her baby and that she would be thrilled with the quality of the products. Lisa also provided Amy with a confirmation number and promised that she would receive tracking information within 24 hours. She explained that the products would arrive within 5 to 7 business days and included her direct phone number for any questions or concerns. 2 weeks later, Amy received a package containing baby food products, but they were clearly not the organic, premium brands that Lisa had specifically promised. The products were generic store brands with simple, cheap-looking labeling that looked nothing like the well-known organic brands that Lisa had mentioned during their conversation. Some of the jars were noticeably dented or had damaged seals that made them potentially unsafe for her baby to consume. The expiration dates on several products were approaching quickly, suggesting that these were surplus or clearance items rather than fresh products. The overall quality was far below what Amy could have bought at her local grocery store for much less money. When Amy tried to contact the company to complain about the poor quality and request a refund as promised in their guarantee, she discovered that the phone number Lisa had provided was now disconnected and there was no way to reach customer service. The company website listed on the packaging didn't exist, and there was no trace of organic baby nutrition services anywhere online. Amy felt terrible about being tricked, especially since she had been trying to do the absolute best thing for her baby's health and nutrition. She was also concerned about the safety of the damaged products and worried about what other parents might have received similar substandard baby food. Amy immediately reported the scam to her state's Consumer Protection Agency, the Better Business Bureau, and the Federal Trade Commission. She also contacted her credit card company to dispute the fraudulent charge, and they were very understanding and helpful in reversing the payment and protecting her from any future charges from the fraudulent company. The Consumer Protection Agency told Amy that baby product scams are unfortunately very common because scammers know that new parents are willing to spend almost any amount of money on products that might benefit their children's health and development. They explained that fraudsters specifically target new parents because they tend to be concerned about making the right choices and may be vulnerable to high-pressure sales tactics. They advised Amy to always research companies thoroughly before making purchases, especially for products related to her child's health and safety. They also recommended only buying baby products from established, reputable retailers with physical stores and verified business licenses. Amy learned valuable lessons about telephone sales and protecting her family from fraud that she now applies to all purchases related to her child's health and safety. She now only buys baby products from established, reputable retailers with physical stores and verified track records, and she never provides credit card information to unsolicited callers regardless of how professional or caring they seem. Amy also joined a local new parent support group where she regularly shares her experience to help other parents avoid similar scams and protect their families. She emphasizes the importance of taking time to research companies and never making quick decisions when it comes to products for children, no matter how good the offer sounds. Here's what happened to Marcus after he clicked on a Facebook advertisement for Gourmet Coffee Club that promised to deliver exotic coffee beans from around the world at incredibly low prices that seemed almost too good to be true. The 38-year-old software developer was a serious coffee enthusiast who had developed sophisticated tastes over years of exploring different roasts and origins, spending over $100 monthly on premium coffee from local specialty roasters. So the offer to get gourmet beans at 70% off regular prices immediately caught his attention and seemed like the perfect way to save money on his expensive hobby while discovering new and exotic varieties. Marcus had been passionate about coffee since college, when he had worked part-time at a local coffee shop and learned about different brewing methods, roasting techniques, and the subtle differences between beans from various regions around the world. Over the years, he had invested in high-quality brewing equipment and had developed a daily ritual of carefully preparing and enjoying premium coffee that helped him start each day. However, Marcus had been increasingly frustrated by the rising cost of specialty coffee, which often cost $15 to $20 per bag and lasted only a week or two with his regular consumption. He had been looking for ways to continue enjoying high-quality coffee while reducing his monthly expenses, so the Facebook advertisement seemed like an answer to his prayers. The advertisement featured absolutely stunning photos of coffee plantations in exotic locations like Ethiopia, Jamaica, and Hawaii, along with images of traditional roasting processes and artisanal packaging that looked like something from a high-end coffee magazine. The visual presentation was sophisticated and appealing, suggesting access to rare and exclusive products. The website claimed that they worked directly with small farmers in remote locations around the world to bring customers the freshest, most exclusive coffee beans available anywhere, completely bypassing traditional importers, distributors, and retail markups that inflated prices for consumers. They offered a coffee lover subscription that would deliver a different exotic variety each month for just $19.99, compared to the $60 to $80 that Marcus typically spent on similar quantities of premium coffee from his local specialty roasters. The value proposition seemed incredible, especially considering that the website claimed customers would receive rare, limited edition coffees that weren't available anywhere else. The website looked extremely professional and sophisticated, with detailed descriptions of each coffee variety that demonstrated apparent expertise and knowledge. The descriptions included comprehensive information about the specific growing regions, traditional processing methods, altitude and climate conditions, and detailed tasting notes that sounded like they were written by expert coffee curators with years of experience. There were glowing customer reviews praising the quality and uniqueness of the coffees, with specific comments about flavor profiles, brewing recommendations, and comparisons to expensive coffees from well-known roasters. The reviews seemed authentic and detailed, written by people who clearly knew a lot about coffee and had high standards for quality. The company also claimed to donate a portion of their profits to support the farming communities they worked with, including funding for education, healthcare, and sustainable farming practices. This social responsibility angle particularly appealed to Marcus's values and made the offer seem even more attractive and legitimate. The website included photos of farmers, detailed information about sustainable farming practices, and comprehensive explanations of how the company was making a positive impact in coffee-growing communities around the world. They even had a blog with regular updates about their farming partners and community development projects. Marcus was genuinely impressed by the company's apparent mission and story, and he decided to sign up for the monthly subscription service. The checkout process was smooth and professional, and he received an immediate confirmation email with detailed tracking information for his first shipment. The confirmation email included extensive information about the specific coffee he would receive, including the farm's location, processing method, roasting date, and detailed brewing recommendations. The email promised that his coffee would arrive within 5 to 7 business days and included contact information for customer service if he had any questions or concerns. When Marcus's first shipment arrived, he was excited to try the Ethiopian single-origin coffee that was supposed to be handpicked by mountain farmers and roasted in small batches using traditional methods that had been passed down through generations. The packaging looked professional and included detailed information about the coffee's origin, processing method, and recommended brewing parameters. However, when Marcus opened the package and carefully examined the beans, he noticed that they appeared to be mass-produced and poorly roasted, with an uneven color and oily surface that indicated over-roasting or poor storage conditions. When he brewed his first cup using his usual careful methods, he was severely disappointed to find that it was clearly low-quality coffee that tasted nothing like the exotic, premium product described on the website. The coffee was bitter, stale, and had no distinctive characteristics that would indicate it was from a specific region or processed using special methods. It tasted like cheap, mass-produced coffee that had been sitting in a warehouse for months, completely unlike the fresh, carefully roasted specialty coffee he was accustomed to buying from reputable roasters. Marcus tried to contact the company's customer service to complain about the poor quality and request either a refund or replacement with higher quality products. However, he found that their phone number went straight to an automated voicemail system that never returned calls, and his detailed emails explaining the quality problems were never answered. When Marcus tried to cancel his subscription through the website to prevent future shipments of poor quality coffee, he discovered that the cancellation process was deliberately complicated and confusing. The website required him to navigate through several pages of special offers and retention discounts before finally allowing him to submit a cancellation request, and even then he wasn't sure if his request had been processed correctly. After doing extensive research online, Marcus found numerous complaints from other customers who had been scammed by the same company. He learned that they were systematically using fake customer reviews, stolen photos from legitimate coffee farms and roasters, and completely false claims about their sourcing and roasting processes. The exotic coffees were actually cheap, mass-produced beans that were repackaged with attractive labels and elaborate marketing stories designed to deceive coffee enthusiasts into believing they were getting premium products. The company had no actual relationships with farmers or roasters and was simply buying cheap coffee and selling it at premium prices. Marcus contacted his credit card company to dispute the charges and prevent any future automatic payments from the fraudulent company. He also filed detailed complaints with the Federal Trade Commission and his state attorney general's office, providing all the evidence he had collected about the deceptive practices and false advertising. His credit card company was very helpful and professional, not only reversing the charges, but also flagging the merchant in their fraud detection system to prevent other customers from being scammed. They told Marcus that subscription scams targeting enthusiasts and hobbyists were becoming increasingly common and sophisticated, with fraudsters specifically targeting people who had specialized interests and were willing to pay premium prices for quality products. The experience taught Marcus to be much more skeptical of online advertisements and subscription offers, especially those that seemed too good to be true. He learned to always research companies thoroughly before making purchases, look for independent reviews from trusted sources rather than relying on testimonials on company websites, and always read the fine print of subscription agreements before providing credit card information. Marcus now continues to enjoy premium coffee, but buys exclusively from established local roasters and well-known online retailers with solid reputations, verified business practices, and transparent sourcing information. He also shares his experience with other coffee enthusiasts online and in person to help them avoid similar scams and protect themselves from fraudulent companies. Let me tell you about Patricia, a 61-year-old grandmother who discovered that her generous nature and documented history of charitable giving made her a perfect target for a cruel charity food scam that would temporarily shake her faith in human kindness and test her commitment to helping others in need. Patricia had always been extremely active in her community, volunteering regularly at local food banks, donating consistently to various legitimate charities, and organizing fundraising events for families experiencing financial hardship. So when she received a professional phone call asking for help feeding hungry families during particularly difficult economic times, she was immediately interested in contributing to what seemed like a desperately needed and worthy cause. Patricia had retired from her career as a public school librarian 2 years earlier and had been using her extra time to increase her volunteer activities and charitable giving. She had always believed strongly in helping those less fortunate and had instilled these values in her children and grandchildren. Her reputation in the community as a generous and caring person was well known, and she often received requests for support from various organizations. The caller, who identified himself as Michael from the Community Food Relief Foundation, had a professional, compassionate manner that immediately appealed to Patricia's deep desire to help others in need. He spoke knowledgeably about food insecurity issues, current economic challenges facing families, and used terminology that demonstrated apparent familiarity with charitable work and community outreach programs. Mrs. Williams, we're reaching out to caring community members like yourself who have a documented history of supporting charitable causes and making a real difference in people's lives, Michael said in a respectful, appreciative tone that acknowledged Patricia's past contributions to the community. Michael told Patricia that her previous donations to various legitimate charities had identified her as someone who genuinely cared about helping those less fortunate and had the financial means to make meaningful contributions. He claimed that the Community Food Relief Foundation was a newly established organization that worked directly with local food banks, community centers, and religious organizations to provide emergency food assistance to families affected by recent economic hardships, job losses, and unexpected financial crises. He offered to send Patricia comprehensive information about their programs and asked if she would be interested in making a donation to help feed hungry children and families in her local area. Michael's approach was consistently professional and respectful, never pushy or aggressive, which made Patricia feel comfortable about continuing the conversation and learning more about their work. To make the charity seem more legitimate and well-established, Michael provided detailed information about their work, including specific numbers of families they had helped in recent months, touching personal stories about children who had benefited from their emergency food programs, and detailed explanations of how donations were used to purchase and distribute food packages to families in crisis. He also claimed that the organization was officially endorsed by local religious leaders and community organizations that Patricia recognized and respected, and had established partnerships with major food manufacturers who donated surplus products to help stretch donation dollars further and serve more families in need. Patricia was genuinely moved by the stories Michael shared and felt a strong desire to help families who were struggling to feed their children during difficult times. The stories reminded her of families she had encountered during her volunteer work at food banks, and she wanted to do whatever she could to help address food insecurity in her community. Michael asked Patricia if she would be willing to make a donation of $100 to sponsor emergency food packages for 5 families in need. He explained that this amount would provide each family with a week's worth of nutritious food, including fresh produce, proteins, and staple items that would help them get through a difficult period. He offered to send her official documentation about the charity's work, including tax-deductible donation receipts, annual reports, and detailed information about their programs and impact. Michael assured her that 90% of her donation would go directly toward purchasing food for families, with only 10% used for minimal administrative costs and program coordination. Patricia felt good about the opportunity to help struggling families and agreed to make the donation using her credit card over the phone. Michael was very appreciative and professional throughout the transaction, providing her with a detailed confirmation number and promising that she would receive official documentation within a few days along with updates about how her donation was being used. Michael also mentioned that the organization would keep her informed about their ongoing work and would contact her occasionally with updates about families they had helped and opportunities for additional support. He thanked her sincerely for her generosity and assured her that her donation would make a real difference in the lives of families who were facing food insecurity. After making the donation, Patricia expected to receive detailed information about the charity's work and regular updates on how her money was being used to help families in her community. She was looking forward to learning about the specific impact of her contribution and potentially increasing her support for the organization if their work proved to be effective and well-managed. However, weeks passed without any communication from the organization, despite Michael's specific promises to keep her informed about their work and impact. Patricia had expected to receive a thank you letter, tax documentation, and updates about families they had helped, but no materials arrived in the mail or via email. When Patricia tried to call the number Michael had provided to inquire about the charity's activities and request the promised documentation, she found that it was disconnected with no forwarding information or alternative contact method. She also searched extensively online for the Community Food Relief Foundation but couldn't find any information about the organization, including no website, social media presence, or mentions in local news coverage of charitable activities. Patricia tried contacting local food banks and community organizations to ask if they had heard of the Community Food Relief Foundation or had any partnership relationships with them. But none of the legitimate organizations she contacted had ever heard of the charity or worked with them in any capacity. Patricia realized with growing anger and disappointment that she had been scammed by criminals who were specifically targeting generous people and taking advantage of their sincere desire to help others. She felt deeply disappointed that someone would use fake charity appeals to steal money that was genuinely intended to help hungry families and children who were struggling with food insecurity. Patricia immediately contacted her credit card company to report the fraudulent charge and request assistance in recovering her money. The customer service representative was very understanding and helpful, explaining that charity scams are unfortunately common and often target people with documented histories of charitable giving. Since scammers know these individuals are more likely to donate generously when presented with compelling appeals. Patricia also reported the scam to the Federal Trade Commission, her state's charity regulation office, and local law enforcement. She learned that charity scams are unfortunately very common, especially those targeting seniors who are known to be generous donors and may be more trusting of callers who claim to represent charitable causes. The officials praised Patricia for reporting the scam promptly and thoroughly, explaining that her detailed information would help them track down the criminals and prevent other generous people from being victimized. They also provided her with comprehensive information about how to verify legitimate charities before making donations and warning signs to watch for in the future. The experience taught Patricia to be more careful about charitable donations, especially those solicited over the phone by organizations she hadn't heard of before. She now only donates to established charities that she can research thoroughly through official charity rating websites, and she never provides credit card information to unsolicited callers claiming to represent charitable causes. Patricia continues to support legitimate food banks and charities, but now verifies their authenticity through independent sources before making any donations. She has become an advocate for charity fraud prevention and regularly shares her story with other seniors and community members to help them avoid similar scams while continuing to support legitimate charitable causes. You won't believe what happened to Kevin when he tried to save money on his family's monthly grocery bill by ordering bulk food items from a website that claimed to offer restaurant-quality ingredients at wholesale prices that seemed almost too good to be true. The 42-year-old accountant was always looking for creative and practical ways to stretch the family budget, especially with 3 growing children who seemed to eat constantly and had expensive tastes for quality food. The offer to buy restaurant-grade food products at 60% off retail prices seemed like the perfect solution to his ongoing struggle with rising grocery costs that were straining the family's monthly budget. Kevin worked for a mid-sized accounting firm and was responsible for managing the family's finances. So he was always analyzing expenses and looking for opportunities to save money without sacrificing quality. He had noticed that grocery costs had been rising steadily, and feeding a family of 5 nutritious, quality meals was becoming increasingly expensive. Kevin found the website through a Google search for bulk food suppliers and was immediately impressed by their professional appearance and extensive product catalog that seemed to offer everything a family could need. The site, called Restaurant Supply Direct, claimed to sell the exact same high-quality ingredients used by professional chefs and upscale restaurants to home cooks at true wholesale prices that eliminated traditional retailer markups. They offered an enormous selection of products, from premium olive oils and aged balsamic vinegars to exotic spices, specialty sauces, gourmet pasta, artisanal cheeses, and premium ingredients that Kevin had only seen in expensive specialty stores or high-end restaurants. The website featured detailed product descriptions, professional food photography that made everything look incredibly appealing, and customer reviews that consistently praised the exceptional quality of the products and the significant savings compared to retail prices. The website claimed to work directly with manufacturers, importers, and distributors around the world to eliminate middleman costs and pass the savings directly onto customers. They emphasized that these were the exact same products used by high-end restaurants, gourmet food stores, and professional chefs, just sold at wholesale prices that weren't normally available to individual consumers. Kevin was particularly interested in their Family Pantry package promotion, which promised to include $500 worth of premium ingredients for just $199. The package was described as containing extra virgin olive oil from Italy, aged balsamic vinegar from Medina, organic spices from around the world, gourmet pasta sauces, specialty vinegars, artisanal honey, premium sea salts, and other high-end ingredients that would transform his family's meals while staying within their tight budget. To make the offer seem even more legitimate and trustworthy, the website included detailed endorsements from professional chefs, official food safety certifications from recognized agencies, and comprehensive testimonials from satisfied customers who claimed the products had completely transformed their cooking and saved them hundreds of dollars compared to buying similar items at retail stores. They also offered a comprehensive satisfaction guarantee and claimed that all products were the exact same quality used by expensive restaurants and gourmet food stores. The website included detailed information about their sourcing practices, quality control procedures, and commitment to providing authentic, premium products at wholesale prices. Kevin was convinced that this was an incredible opportunity to upgrade his family's meals while actually saving money compared to his regular grocery expenses. The math seemed to work out perfectly, and the quality claims were supported by what appeared to be legitimate documentation and customer feedback. Kevin placed his order and paid using his credit card, expecting to receive his bulk food items within the promised 7 to 10 business days. The website provided a professional-looking tracking number and sent regular email updates about his order's progress through their fulfillment system, which gave him confidence that everything was proceeding normally and professionally. However, when the package finally arrived after 3 weeks of waiting, Kevin was absolutely shocked and disappointed to find that it contained cheap, low-quality food products that were nothing like what he had ordered or what was described on the website. The packaging was unprofessional and looked like it came from a discount warehouse store rather than a premium food supplier. The premium olive oil from Italy was clearly a cheap, mass-produced product with a generic label that had obviously been printed on a home printer. The oil itself was pale and flavorless, nothing like the rich, golden extra virgin olive oil described on the website. The aged balsamic vinegar from Medina was obviously regular vinegar with artificial flavoring and brown coloring that tasted harsh and acidic, nothing like authentic balsamic vinegar. The organic spices from around the world were stale, flavorless powders that had clearly been sitting in a warehouse for months or even years. Several containers were partially empty or had broken seals, and the spices had no aroma or flavor whatsoever. Some of the spice containers didn't even match the labels, containing completely different products than what was listed. None of the products matched the detailed descriptions or professional photos on the website, and the overall quality was far below what Kevin could have bought at his local grocery store for much less money. Some items were even past their expiration dates, making them potentially unsafe for his family to consume and completely worthless. Kevin tried to contact the company to complain about the terrible quality and request a full refund as promised in their satisfaction guarantee. But he discovered that their customer service phone number was disconnected and his detailed emails bounced back as undeliverable. When he tried to access the website again to file a complaint through their online system, he found that it had been completely taken down and no longer existed. Kevin realized that he had been scammed by a sophisticated fake company that was selling inferior products under false pretenses, using professional-looking websites, fake customer reviews, and fraudulent quality claims to deceive people into paying premium prices for worthless merchandise. He felt frustrated and embarrassed about being tricked, especially since he prided himself on being careful with money and making smart purchasing decisions for his family. Kevin immediately reported the scam to his credit card company and filed detailed complaints with the Better Business Bureau, Federal Trade Commission, and his state's Consumer Protection Agency. His credit card company was very helpful and professional, reversing the fraudulent charge after Kevin provided evidence of the deceptive practices and substandard products. They also warned him that fake wholesale food suppliers were becoming increasingly common online and provided tips for avoiding similar scams in the future. The experience taught Kevin valuable lessons about online shopping and due diligence that he now applies to all major purchases. He learned to be much more careful about online food purchases, to thoroughly research companies before making large orders, and to be skeptical of offers that seem too good to be true, especially from unknown companies. Kevin now only buys from established retailers with physical locations and solid reputations, always reads independent reviews from multiple trusted sources before trying new suppliers, and never makes large purchases from companies he can't verify through reliable sources. He shares his story with friends, family, and coworkers to help them avoid similar scams and protect themselves from online fraud. Carlos, a 35-year-old restaurant manager, thought he had found the perfect solution to his establishment's rising food costs when he received an unexpected phone call from a company claiming to offer wholesale meat and seafood at prices far below his current suppliers. The caller said they had discovered his restaurant through industry connections and had a special deal specifically for independent restaurant owners that could provide premium products at 40% off current market prices, which would significantly improve his profit margins during particularly challenging economic times for the restaurant industry. Carlos had been managing Bella Vista, a popular family-owned Italian restaurant, for over 8 years and had built strong relationships with local suppliers and customers. However, the restaurant had been struggling with increasing food costs, rising labor expenses, and increased competition from chain restaurants that could negotiate better prices with large suppliers. The caller, who identified himself as Tony from Premium Food Distributors, claimed that his company worked directly with processing plants, fishing fleets, and agricultural producers to eliminate middleman costs and provide restaurants with the same quality products at wholesale prices that were normally only available to large chain restaurants and major food service companies. Tony sounded extremely knowledgeable about the restaurant business and used specific industry terminology, discussed current market trends, and demonstrated understanding of the challenges facing independent restaurants that made him seem completely legitimate and trustworthy. He spoke confidently about food costs, supplier relationships, profit margins, and operational challenges in a way that resonated with Carlos's daily experiences. Tony offered to visit Carlos's restaurant personally to show samples of their products and discuss a partnership arrangement that could save thousands of dollars per month on food costs while maintaining or even improving quality. He also mentioned that he had worked successfully with several other independent restaurants in the area and could provide references from satisfied customers who had significantly improved their profitability by switching to premium food distributors. Tony spoke confidently about industry trends, seasonal price fluctuations, quality standards, and supply chain challenges in a way that demonstrated apparent expertise and extensive experience in food service distribution. He seemed to understand the specific challenges that independent restaurants faced in competing with larger establishments that had more purchasing power. When Tony arrived at the restaurant the following day, he was professionally dressed in a business suit and drove a large, impressive refrigerated truck with official-looking logos and professional branding that gave him immediate credibility. The truck appeared to be legitimate commercial equipment, and Tony's professional appearance and confident demeanor reinforced his claims about being a legitimate distributor. Tony brought an impressive selection of samples including prime steaks, fresh seafood, poultry, and other high-quality products that were vacuum-sealed in professional packaging that looked identical to products from legitimate distributors that Carlos had worked with in the past. The samples looked excellent and were presented professionally with detailed information about grades, origins, and handling procedures. Tony explained that his company specialized in working with independent restaurants and small chains that were often overlooked by major distributors who focused on large accounts. He claimed they could provide consistent quality, reliable delivery schedules, and competitive pricing that would give Carlos a significant competitive advantage over restaurants that paid higher prices to traditional suppliers. Tony presented Carlos with detailed price lists comparing his rates to major food distributors in the area, showing potential savings of thousands of dollars per month on meat, seafood, and other essential ingredients. The price comparisons were specific and detailed, including current market prices and projected savings that seemed realistic and achievable. He also provided what appeared to be completely official documentation including health department certificates, USDA inspection reports, business licenses, and glowing testimonials from other restaurant owners who claimed to have dramatically improved their profitability by switching to premium food distributors. Everything seemed legitimate and professional, and the potential cost savings were too significant to ignore, especially given the challenging economic conditions facing independent restaurants. Tony's presentation was thorough and convincing, and he seemed to understand the specific financial pressures that Carlos faced in managing food costs while maintaining quality and customer satisfaction. To secure the special wholesale pricing, Tony explained that Carlos would need to place a substantial initial order and pay up front to demonstrate his commitment to the partnership and to lock in the current wholesale rates before they increase due to seasonal market fluctuations and rising commodity prices. Tony offered to start with a $3,000 order that would provide a full month's worth of meat and seafood at the promised discount prices. He explained that this initial order would establish the business relationship and demonstrate the quality and value of their products, after which Carlos could place regular orders on more flexible terms. Tony created a sense of urgency by claiming that the special rates were only available for a limited time due to capacity constraints at their processing facilities and increasing demand from other restaurants. He also mentioned that several other independent restaurants in the area were interested in similar arrangements, and he couldn't hold the offer open indefinitely. Carlos was naturally hesitant about paying such a large amount upfront to a new supplier, but Tony's presentation was extremely convincing and the potential savings were substantial enough to significantly improve his restaurant's profitability. The documentation looked authentic, the samples were high quality, and Tony's knowledge of the industry seemed genuine and extensive. Against his better judgment, and despite some lingering concerns about the upfront payment requirement, Carlos decided to take what seemed like a calculated risk and wrote a company check for $3,000. Expecting to receive high-quality products that would improve his restaurant's bottom line and competitive position. When the food delivery arrived the following week, Carlos was severely disappointed and angry to find that the products were far below the quality that Tony had promised and demonstrated with his samples. The steaks were tough, poorly cut, and clearly low-grade meat that would be completely unsuitable for his restaurant's standards and customer expectations. The seafood was obviously frozen and thawed multiple times, had an unpleasant odor that indicated deterioration, and showed clear signs of poor handling and storage. Nothing matched the high-quality samples that Tony had shown, and the packaging was unprofessional with generic labels that bore no resemblance to the branded products he had been promised. Several items were already spoiled or past their expiration dates, making them completely unusable and potentially dangerous to serve to customers. The overall quality was so poor that Carlos couldn't use any of the products in his restaurant without risking his reputation and potentially making customers sick. Carlos tried to contact premium food distributors immediately to complain about the unacceptable quality and demand either replacement products or a full refund. But he discovered that the company didn't actually exist and Tony's phone number was disconnected. The business address on his paperwork was fake, and there was no trace of the company in any business directories, licensing databases, or industry associations. Carlos realized that he had been scammed by sophisticated criminals who were specifically targeting restaurant owners with fake wholesale food offers designed to steal large amounts of money from small businesses that were already struggling financially. He felt angry and embarrassed about being deceived, especially since it represented a significant financial loss for his restaurant during an already challenging time. Carlos reported the scam to local police, the Better Business Bureau, state business licensing authorities, and restaurant industry associations, but he never recovered his money. He learned that restaurant supply scams are unfortunately common, with fraudsters using professional presentations, fake documentation, industry knowledge, and high-quality samples to convince restaurant owners to pay large amounts upfront for inferior products. The experience taught Carlos invaluable lessons about supplier verification and due diligence that he now applies to all business relationships and purchasing decisions. He now thoroughly researches any new suppliers, checks references with other restaurant owners, verifies business licenses and certifications through official agencies, and never pays large amounts upfront for food products regardless of promised savings or pressure tactics. Carlos shares his story with other restaurant owners through industry associations, local business groups, and restaurant networks to help them avoid similar scams and protect their businesses from fraud. He emphasizes the importance of taking time to verify suppliers thoroughly, never making hasty decisions based on pressure tactics or promises of extraordinary savings, and always maintaining healthy skepticism when deals seem too good to be true. These stories show us that food-related scams are becoming more sophisticated and targeted every day, but knowledge and awareness remain our best defenses against fraud. Always trust your instincts when something seems too good to be true. Consistently verify companies and offers independently through reliable and trusted sources. And remember that legitimate businesses never pressure you to act immediately or pay money upfront to receive prizes or special deals. Stay vigilant, informed, and cautious to protect yourself and your family from these increasingly common and sophisticated scams that target our basic needs and desires for good food at reasonable prices.